Farmers markets are a good place if you're used to being self-employed to still feel self-employed. It's also a good place to stay connected to your community because people that come, many of them are from your community and your area. So it's a good way to meet your neighbors, to stay connected, and to still feel like, like you've got some say in what you're doing. So it was a good fit for me.
Hello, my name is Yolanda, and this is Eatin and Sippin locally. This show is podcast in Austin, Texas. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 16. This show is dedicated to the farmers market. Now, throughout this year, in 2020, I'll be introducing you to some of my favorite farmers markets and highlighting small business owners that you need to check out when you go. So this month, I am focused on the Texas Farmers Market at the Lakeline Mall in Cedar Park. And I want to highlight a very special vendor, Sharon Richardson. Now, Sharon is originally from Louisiana, and in 2005, I know we all remember when Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana. It hit it hard, and her family, like many other families, were forced to move out of the city. A lot of families found temporary shelter here in Texas. Well, I am happy to tell you and the people who visit Sharon every Saturday from 9 to 1 at the market that we are so glad that she decided to stay right here in Texas because no one does authentic New Orleans creamy pralines like she does. Now, listeners, you know I am not the girl that gives you a long bio about a person I want you to know about. You know, people are good about talking about themselves. So there is no need for me to hold on to the mic. I'm going to pass the mic over to Sharon because she's excited to share with you about who she is, her business, and how it all got started back in New Orleans.
I'm Sharon Richardson. The name of our business is Christen's Gourmet Pralines. We got that name because we moved here to the Austin area because of Katrina. The year before Katrina happened, we wanted my daughter, who was just getting out of high school, we wanted to give her something that she could start and nurture and baby to maturity because we had always had our own business since she was born. We had a moving service in New Orleans called Richardson's Moving and Packing. So we wanted Christy to have something to nurture and mature and something that was going to make a positive change in her life and positive difference. So we started Christen's Gourmet Pralines for her. And so her name's Christen. That's where the name came from. She didn't want it. And just before Katrina hit, weeks before, we didn't know what to do with that. So I had to honor some of the orders that we had received for her from that. And moving here, needing to find a whole new way of living and to way to earn a living, we just did that. We picked it up.
So, Christen, was she a cook? Did she like to cook?
No, she did. She liked to cook and she liked making candy. Hers was just strictly making pralines. I taught her to make pralines when she was 10 years old.
Okay.
So she knew how. She was probably better than me. But so we have expanded that we do more than making pralines here. But she only made pralines, and it got off to a real good start.
I noticed on your card, you said, let us sweeten up your day.
Yeah.
I like that saying. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we said that because pralines are sweet. And so you eat some of our pralines, and you're going to feel better. You're going to feel sweet. They're good. Oh. And that's where I picked that up from.
And the authentic, what makes your pralines authentic New Orleans style compared to Texas?
I did not know that until we moved to Texas, that they were authentic, because everybody there makes pralines basically the way we make ours. Back in New Orleans, there's two basic kind of pralines. A creamy praline, which is what we make, and one we call a Creole praline, which is water-based. And it's too crispy, so it breaks up easy, so I don't make that here. But I do make the creamy ones. When I moved to Texas, I was introduced to a chewy praline, which we don't have that back there. I understand they do now, but we didn't have that back there. I had never had one, never had I even heard of a cherry praline. So I wasn't familiar with that. To me, that's a caramel instead of a praline. So we didn't have that, and I wasn't used to it. So I thus started calling ours authentic New Orleans style praline, so you would know it's not going to be chewy, it's going to be creamy. And by the way, we say praline. Out here, you guys say praline. Yeah, we don't say that. In fact, I put on my card now, for your information, New Orleans, we would never say praline. It's praline for us.
It's funny how people pronounce the same thing differently. I have always called them pralines. Now, as we continue to talk, I wanted to know if she kept a written notebook with all the things she loved to cook, and has she ever thought about creating a recipe book to pass on to her 2 daughters?
That's one of the differences, I think, about women in New Orleans and some men. We don't have recipes, per se. I never had a recipe for pralines. I don't have recipes for my gumbo or my jambalaya or my etouffees. Those women they were chemists. They just knew what to do and how to do it. I have never in my life, as God is my witness, owned a candy thermometer. We don't need that. We know what it's supposed to look like when it's ready. And I don't have a recipe. And it makes it hard for me to teach my 2 daughters now how to cook, because people cook by recipes. So I tell them, you come and watch me. Because the way I learned, you call your mom and your grandma or your aunt, and they say, put a pinch of this and a bit of that and a tad of this. And that's how you learn to cook. When I cook now on certain things, I'll make a mental note to say, okay, when I tell Joe how to fix this, I remember this is how much I put, and this is how long I let it cook, because otherwise you don't know.
Right.
You're so used to just making it from memory that you don't have recipes, and I still don't have a written recipe, but Jill's smart enough. Christy doesn't do it so much. She kind of likes learning the way we did, but Jill writes it down, and so she's starting her own little recipe book, so that she'll have it and she'll be able to make things the way she grew up eating them, the way her grandma and her aunts and her mama did it. Yes, so she'll be good. She's getting to be an excellent little cook, actually.
That's good. So why did you keep Kristen's name? Did you want to keep Kristen's names for just...
Because we had bought all these labels, and it had Kristen's, and when we moved here, we had nothing. We had no extra money at all. We barely had money to live on. In fact, we didn't. So we just used it and kept the name. And when I went to register it, I didn't have to go through all of that expense of changing everything. And that's why. Had I known that it was going to be our livelihood, I probably would have, because I would have called it something else that didn't associate Christy's name with it. But doesn't matter. She doesn't want to do it. She's not using it anyway, so it's okay.
Are you giving her a small percentage?
No.
She hasn't got a lawyer at you and going,
no. I gave her that name, so no, it's okay. It's still my name.
So tell me about the farmers market. What made you decide to start selling at the farmers market instead of a store?
Well, because I didn't know what to do. When I realized this is what we were going to do, back in New Orleans when we started that for Christy, we knew people. So we could call people and say, oh, this is what Christy's doing. You want to buy some of her pralines? And we got her a nice little cute commercial kitchen. Out here, we didn't know anybody, not anybody at all. And I felt actually a divine order to do that. So I trust the faith. And I did it, and I didn't know how to promote it and how to get it going. So I met a lady when I went down to find out about getting a commercial kitchen, and she says, you should go to a farmer's market. That'll be a good place for you to start selling your pralines. And so she gave me the name of a girl named Amy, and she had a small little farmer's market, and I called Amy, and she said, sure, come on down.
Now, were you living in Cedar Park at the time?
Yes,
okay.
I was living in Cedar Park, and this was on Great Lakes. She had this small little farmer's market. It was only about 10 vendors, and she welcomed me to come, and she says, listen, I didn't have anything. I didn't have a table. I didn't have a chair. I didn't have anything. I just made me some pralines and went over there. And so she gave me the name of someone's kitchen that I can go get registered in and get it started and going, and thus here we are. That's not the same person whose kitchen I use now, but it was the start.
So how did you discover the Texas Farmers Market?
Amy closed hers.
Okay.
And when she closed her market, she told me that she had heard about this market that was getting ready to open close to me in Cedar Park. At that time, it was at 1890 Ranch. And she gave me the name of the lady that was going to be opening it and running it. Her name was Carla Jenkins. She gave me her name and number. I called her, and she goes, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to have you." And so she says, "Let's meet for lunch." And she told me what she was expecting, what the booth fee would be, and she would love to have me come. And so we did. It was a good beginning. It's a good continuance for us. Farmers markets are a good place if you're used to being self-employed to still feel self-employed. It's also a good place to stay connected to your community because people that come, many of them are from your community in your area. So it's a good way to meet your neighbors, to stay connected, and to still feel like, like you've got some say in what you're doing. So it was a good fit for me and for my husband.
So you sell more than Pralines now.
Now
right?
we do.
So when did you start venturing out to other?
When I realized I could. When I realized that selling pralines wasn't going to make enough by themselves at the time, we started adding red beans and rice. And that sold like crazy. And I thought, well, if I can sell red beans and rice like crazy, I can sell gumbo. So I started doing gumbo. And then we said, well, why don't we do beignets? And so now we make beignets on site, and we make meat pies, New Orleans meat pies. And we bring red beans every week. It's my top seller.
No kidding.
It outsells everything. And we do gumbo, and we do etouffees and jambalaya. If it's New Orleans, I can do it.
Yummy. Now, who wants to join me this month for some red beans and rice and some delicious gumbo? I'll be at the market February the 22nd for a Black History Day celebration. I'll be out there with my chair, and you can find me by the live music. I am so excited to tell you that Sharon has teamed up with Noah, who's in charge of the Texas Farmers Market events, and they together are bringing something new to the market. Listen in on how this whole event unfolded.
They've always been rather good about making a celebration or honoring something, but never ever did we have anything for Black History Month. So I called Nora last month, and I said, Nora, I've been here since day one with this market, and we've never had anything honoring Black History Month. She says, well, you take the lead and I'll follow. And so I'm putting a little thing together for February 22nd. My booth is going to be the struggle yesterday and today and moving forward kind of thing. The girl next to me, Geraldine, who does the pet treats, I asked her if she would do it with me. She's going to do the same, and hers is going to be, I thought would be good, little known facts about Black history. And so I've been helping her to find little things to put on hers. So hers is going to be Black history trivia. And what's good is that we're side by side. Now here's what else my little Nora said. Because we are both right here at the end in the market, because that's where the music is. And so with Nora, now you know where the info booth is. You went there to meet Nora. Mm-hmm. Nora said, wow, they're going to do something with Booker T. Washington's peanut butter, with peanut.
Yes.
And she's going to come up with a craft for that. She goes, well, since you and Geraldine are at that end, I'm just going to move the craft exhibit down there too. Is she what?
High five on that.
Yes. Nora's got it going on.
I love it. Love that.
It makes me feel comfortable to go with her with any suggestions or ideas or help even. Mm-hmm. I found this girl named Ange Coates. Do you know who she is?
No, I don't.
Oh, let me tell you something. You are going to absolutely love her. And when I say love her, you think you love Nora. Well, that girl is fabulous.
I can't wait to hear Angie sing. I have looked her up and found out that she's originally from Alabama, but she's been a longtime resident here in Austin, and she's also collaborated with some of the greatest musicians here as well. I'm going to leave a little bit more information about her in my show notes, but I will definitely be at the market February the 22nd, so please join me. Pick up a to-go red beans and rice from Sharon and meet me at the stage. Now, you know, I had to ask Sharon two questions that I always ask the farmers and the vendors when I'm at the market. And that is, what is one smart tip that you could share with us on how to shop at the farmers market?
To go curious. I think if you go to the market and every time you go to the same vendors. Don't stop coming to me now. Don't let me be part of that curious. You keep coming to Christen's Gourmet Pralines. But you go to your regular vendors that you've come to know and love, and which you go there for the produce or the food, whatever you're going there for. But be curious and try something new and different.
Second question, I wanted to know what was one of her favorite booths that we definitely need to check out when we're at that market.
One of my favorite vendors there is Alex, who sells all kinds of vegetables, and I just love his okra. He just has the best okra in the world because he's got this breed of okra that you don't have to fry it so much to get the slime out. I don't know why, and I can't even remember the name of it. I just know I love it. And so he knows that when he comes to the market, when it's okra season, I get plenty of it. I love Alex. His stuff is fabulous. And he and I connect every single week. He and my husband, or he and I, they got their thing, our little thing going. I give him red beans and food. Yeah, that's what we do. We bought her, yeah.
I love this tray.
I do. I love it. Absolutely love it.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is your product at any of the other markets?
No, I don't go to any other market except the Lakeline market because we cater as well. And I just can't do it. It's just too much for me. I would like to think I'm in semi-retirement where I can call some of my shots with my time. And if I added on markets and did catering, it would just be too much. Yeah. I would have to now go back into life where we were when we ran a business and had employees. And I don't want to do that. So right now, I have a couple of ladies that I can call on when I need them, when the job is bigger than me and I can't handle it all by myself. Then I can call them and they're dependable, they're good, they know what they're doing. That works. But if I went to 3 other markets and wanted to cater to, it just would be too much. It would be overwhelming.
Yeah, totally understand. Tell me a little bit about your catering. What do you offer?
Anything that's New Orleans. I mean, I don't have a menu.
Okay.
I custom any menu, anything that I cater, it's custom according to what you told me. Like, for instance, I had a man call me this morning that want me to cater a kickoff party for his campaign. So we talked about how many people were coming and what was the presentation he wanted, the atmosphere he wanted to create with the food. And so we came up with a menu.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And you do that so you do individual style catering.
Yes.
So do you serve the food as well, or you just drop it off?
No. More often than not, we have to stay and serve it.
And you serve
but not like serve dinner style, but serve buffet style.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So what do you see your business in the next 3 to 6 months from now?
The same thing I see in the next 3 or 6 years, really. I can't grow to the point of, because I don't want to. It's not my vision. It's not my objective. I do not want to have to hire 6 people to have them working in a kitchen that we buy. Now I'm in real estate and I'm in people business. I want to be in the people business that we have fun, that we enjoy each other, that I can give you what you need when you need it at a fair price. As long as I can do that and keep it where when my husband and I decide it's time to take off for 2 weeks and let's go to New Orleans, we can do that. Yes. And I don't have to worry about it. I know people that have, that's vendors at the market, and because they've got themselves in a position, because of their goals, they can't miss a market because they need that income. So they have to hire someone to come work it for them when they can't be there. I don't want to do that. When I'm gone, I'm gone. My spot's gone, it's closed. I let everybody know when we're coming back. And we don't do it often, but we do it enough that I can stay happy and healthy.
Yeah. So you cater for like 25 and under? As far as...
God, I've catered for 500.
Would you be still willing to do something like that if someone called you?
I still do. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've done one not long ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So tell people how we can find you. Tell us your social media handles.
I'm not real good about social media, but I do Facebook. So I've got a good Facebook. In fact, I think the last time I checked, I was really surprised because we're like at 290 likes. So that's really good for us because I only started doing Facebook when the owner of the market, Carla, encouraged me to do Facebook a few years ago because I'm not that social media person. But I found when I started, it was a lot easier. I don't do the Twitter. I don't do the all the other little fancy things. I only do Facebook. I can handle that. I can do it for 20 minutes in the morning and I'm done. And it's good. And it gets me a lot of attention. I have people come to the market and tell me, I've been following you on Facebook for a year, so I just wanted to come and meet you.
That's great.
I love it.
That's the value of social media.
Yeah.
Being at that. So tell everyone again exactly what market you at, the day, and the time.
We're at Lakeline in Cedar Park. Actually, it's a little bit odd because the front of the market, well, the front of the mall is Cedar Park. The back of the mall, where we are, is Austin. How do you like that? So we're in the back, but you can't miss it because there's 100 vendors back there. You see all those tents every Saturday from 9 to 1.
Okay, great. I am so glad that Nora introduced me to you.
I am so
glad
Yeah.
that you took the time out to listen, to come on and chat with me.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. I learned something and we got to share.
We did get to share.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we come to the end of my time with Sharon. We sat together at her home and got to know each other very well. It was a great interview, and I'm so glad she made the time to speak with me. Now, one thing Sharon forgot to mention is that she does a newsletter about her business, so make sure you sign up when you shop at her booth this month. The Lakeline Mall is located in Cedar Park, and it's about 30 minutes from downtown Austin by car. And as Sharon mentioned, the farmers market is located in the back parking lot of the mall. Now there you're going to find over 100 vendors, live music, kid-friendly activities, and yes, the dogs are welcome as long as they're on a leash. And the market happens every Saturday from 9 to 1. Now to find out more about events, booth, or rentals, or maybe you might just want to volunteer, check out the Texas Farmers Market website, and there you can sign up for their weekly newsletter so you can stay in touch with what's happening at the market. Well, I hope to see you all February the 22nd for a celebration of Black History Month. It's going to be a great event, so bring a chair and join me and the community for good eats, live music, and a taste of history. See you soon. Bye-bye. Connect with me through Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Eatin and Sippin locally. Love to see what you're posting and who you're following. And if you'd like to come on the show, check out my webpage at Eatin and Sippin, that's EATIN, and Sippin, SIPPIN, locally.com. Subscribe to the show on Apple iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, or wherever you download your podcast show at. And if you do download me, please rate the show and leave me a comment because I like to know what you're thinking. Well, until we meet again, keep it local.